Hi everyone. For so many years now, I wanted to share with you my findings. It has been a long road. I started selling my art several years ago. I wanted to sell both my original paintings and my prints. I was looking for a website provider that could just help me to make it easy, be able to sell to people all around the world, have the ability for them to, pop in their credit card details, link with their Amazon or link with PayPal, just make it as easy as possible because, after a time, Instagram DMs just don't cut it anymore. So I went on the search for a kind of an e-commerce website provider to allow me to, be on brand, for it all to look fabulous, but also for the ability for just people to just be able to go onto a website, sharonscudderart.com, and buy my art. Oh, it's been a long journey. I wanted to go through just really my findings around Shopify versus WooCommerce because there's so little out there. So here I am adding on to the world. I wanted to break down the differences between them into 5 categories. And those categories are really like the key points I thought about how we're selling. I'm not going to go into the blog functionality and, all that other side of things because I know, so maybe for someone's a service-based business, they're going to care more about blogs and the portfolio ability and all that kind of thing. But I'm specifically focusing on product-based businesses. They need to sell a product, they need to sell their brand, they need to sell who they are, but in a beautiful packaged up way, because obviously I'm an artist, so it needs to look stunning. So I started off originally with WordPress many years ago. I then moved to Wix. I then moved to Squarespace. I moved to Shopify a number of years ago. And last year I moved to WordPress. WooCommerce. Again, WooCommerce is the kind of the plugin shopping element of WordPress. And I did that this time, not just with WordPress, but I did it together with another application called Show It, which is basically just the ability to make the website look beautiful. And I hope when you go on my website, you will agree that it does look beautiful. And that's with Show It, and it's called a template from the Tonic website. So I love them. They're fabulous, very pricey, but it was worth it. And I'll go into pricing and just things to consider in a moment. So firstly, how do you want your website to look? I personally find every single Shopify website looks exactly the same. It's all boxes. Box here, box there, box there, box there. So intuitive, so useful, so easy for your customer to go through. And that's why Shopify websites are so popular. But for me, I just could not bear to look at another box. While WordPress, WooCommerce is so much more techy, you can customize whatever you want, good and bad. So for example, Shopify, you literally can just pull it off the shelf, click in, buy a template from someone and have your website set up that day. WooCommerce, you either need a developer or like me, you need like a template, Show It, something like that. Or you need to know code. I do not know code, so it was not relevant for me. So that is the first thing, and that's, I think, is something that's really, really important. The second thing is how easy each platform is to use. So Shopify is like a doddle. It's just wonderful and beautiful and amazing and so straightforward, has so many features. It's just so lovely. I personally hate green. I love green as in I'm wearing green right now, but the green of the Shopify hated it. So I just hated using their interface. But it's just so much more intuitive, but it's very their way or the highway. It's very much like an Apple product. Like they've decided this is how things are meant to work, and there's no wiggle room. You can't like put more variables in or change things up. It's just this is how shopping is meant to be according to Shopify. While WooCommerce, you can do what you want. WooCommerce is much more techy. I love the interface much more. It's much more like nitty gritty. You can go into the detail. You can click through and change things. And perfect for me. So, for example, like my blocks, I sell like a lot of acrylic products. Like I don't want that. I did the whole sending it globally. My stuff ships all around the world. My acrylic products could not be bothered anymore with the faff of insurance and all that kind of thing. So I only offer that to my UK clients now. Can offer that while offering my prints to around the world. It's just much more customizable. But you need to know how to use coding, or you need to have a developer who's fabulous. So that is just something to really take into account. So kind of second point, which is usability, Shopify comes out like way on top, way on top. But it wasn't for me. But if you want ease of use, Shopify all the way. Perfect. So then the next thing, number 3, is price. Shopify comes at a cost. At the time of when I left Shopify, I think it was like $27 a month. Now I'm in the UK at the moment, the exchange rate is terrible. So like that's like 27 sterling a month just for the privilege to use their platform. That's not including the template that you need to use to make the Shopify website look pretty. That's not including the processing fees. So every time I make a sale, I'm still getting charged. They take a cut of every sale I make, plus the $27. So it was quite the fortune. It was something that I had to keep thinking, is this worth it? Is this worth it? Is this worth it? Now, WordPress WooCommerce's option is free. They still take that cut every time you make a sale, and that's probably quite similar to Shopify, but it is a free option and it does not cost you. Here's the fun part though. The plugins do. And you can't really do much in WooCommerce without plugins. Now, what do I mean by that? Basic things that Shopify will provide you, like the ability to connect your catalog of products to Pinterest or TikTok, or, these features, sale platforms that Shopify is just so intuitive with. WooCommerce will charge you. You will need a plugin for that. Now, I just love all this techie kind of stuff, and there are so many DSLs on Google that provide code and just are so generous with their knowledge. So from my perspective, I don't actually think I'm using any paid plugins right now because I've kind of hacked my way through code and stuff. So for example, a silly example, for example, I would like my customers to know their tracking ID. My art is really valuable. I have to get insurance, especially if it's an original painting. Even if it's a print, it's a GK print, it's archival, it's going to last 100 years. These are not like cute little things that you pick up in some thrift store or in some, TJ Maxx things. So I need to be really particular. Every single thing that goes out my store has a tracking ID, is tracked to be either signed for or just so I know that it gets there. I want to be able to provide that tracking ID to my customer. Shopify, no problem. Shipped. Type in your tracking ID, send a cute note. Hey, hope you get this in time. And that's that. WooCommerce, no option. Like no option. So I had to go onto Google and get some gorgeous person who's put some PHP code and put it into my snippet to be able to have the option to have shipped as a order status, and then to be able to add to the comments the tracking ID, so that when the customer gets an email notification that the status of the order has changed, the tracking ID comes with it. And you're like, oh, that is just so pernickety. But there are benefits to all these pernickety things because they can really customize the user journey, and I'm really enjoying doing that. Other silly things, and I guess this then comes on to like the fourth point, which is the functionality. Like Shopify, a customer buys something, they save that email address, and then that email address I can send straight to my email list provider, whether it be Flowdesk or the monkey thing. I don't remember what I used to use. I'm now using Flowdesk. It's fabulous. It's just so much. WooCommerce, you have to like type in and plug in. So the functionality in Shopify is just worlds apart. You can do everything in WooCommerce, but it's a plugin. It's extra functionality to be added. It's just, you need to be knowledgeable, or you need to be like me, very happy to spend your midnights surfing Google, reading blog after blog after blog. So functionality is a really big deal. So yes, $27 is steep, just for the privilege to be able to use the Shopify platform. but it does provide you with a lot of features that you don't even realize at the time. So, for example, when I moved from Squarespace was lovely, but it was just too like sweet for me. It didn't have enough. I went to Shopify and boom, like Shopify had everything I needed. It was so exciting. Um, then I went to, but I didn't. I took it all for granted. Then I went to WooCommerce, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, there's nothing much here." Like all these things, all these features that I took for granted in Shopify, like WooCommerce does not have. Now, I'm still very, very happy with my choice because what I'll get into in the fifth point is just that ability, that functionality within WooCommerce. I am putting it together with a platform called Show It. So for me, just that look and feel of the website is just so much more on brand, and it's just so much more my thing. The ability in WooCommerce to pair it up with WordPress and have a much better schema. So what does that mean? It's just it breaks up your website much more clearly for Google to be able to know. The blog functionality is so much more straightforward, streamlined, smooth. Shopify is so clunky with anything that's not a product. Putting in the actual product is fine in Shopify, but anything that's not a product, and I know that they're planning to come out with some developments in this year, and they've just, I think, done that, where you can create more blocks in like the About Me page and in the blog page and in the portfolio page, just to give that kind of more overall flavor of the company. Shopify is slowly getting there, but WooCommerce, WordPress is just miles streets ahead. If you go onto my website on sharonskirderart.com, you'll just see that everything works together just so much more beautifully. It just has the same font, it has the same coloring, it has the same look throughout, whether it's the shopping page. Shopify, they want you to, have the shopping page, and then the About Me page looks a bit gross, and then the checkout page is great. Shopify checkout page is great, but then the shipping information page is just gross again. So there will get that, but still that overall feel and look and functionality from WooCommerce is streets ahead, is really streets ahead, and that's why I've been really happy with the move over. Look, Shopify is so well marketed. It's on our trains, like every advert on the train. It's on every YouTube video I watch, although probably they just know that I've left them, so they want me to come back. It is, it's they are always investing. It's a costly service, but they really do provide. And so I do rate them highly. But for me, WooCommerce was like game changer and winner, and just the inventory, the ability is just so much more my type. But maybe because that's just me, but I didn't find much information on this on YouTube when I was looking around. So I hope this was really helpful to everyone. And feel free to go to my website, sharonskirderart.com, and see how I've kind of put together. It's still work in progress. There's still so much more to do. And I guess that's also another positive for me on WooCommerce. Like, it's so flexible. It is so flexible. You can just, the world's your oyster. You can do anything and everything with it. It is going to be just there for me as I grow, and I'm coming up with subscription products. I'm coming up with digital products. I'm coming up with just different variations on my current. It's just so much more intuitive in that sense. And so therefore, like for me, it's just been a fabulous switch over. But if you want bog standard, you want to sell your product, you want just the ability to get started within the week, Shopify is the way to go. Have a lovely evening and have a good night. And I'd love to hear what you think in the comments, and subscribe to my channel.